now. Hello and welcome back to another episode of the Carolina Otaku podcast. I am Afro and I am here with
Lexi.
um and thank you for coming back again. It's greatly appreciated. Um how we start things off, I think a lot of people are actually gonna like this episode. Um, we went we kind of gracefully skimmed over this topic before, but we're kind of going to get a little bit more in depth about it. But before we actually get into that, let's just start out with Lexi. What's been going on with you, and what have you been up to?
Yeah, hey guys, welcome back. We missed you. Um, Lately, like last 2 weeks, I'm in the process of moving. So next time you probably see me, my background will be a lot different. Because I'm actually moving to a house where I can have my own little office. So it's gonna be awesome. And I should have a lot of stuff hung up on the walls, kind of like afros. Um, and then also I finally passed my fucking A plus certification. Yay!
Yay!
Right. So it's been like the bane of my existence since I've been in tech. I'm not even gonna lie to you. Um, and it's not like it's a really hard exam. It's just one of those ones I was like, I'm never gonna pass this. And like I would pass the first half and not go back and do the second half, or I would just fail the first half by like a few questions and not do it, but this time I've passed both. So now I am officially A plus certified. So there you go.
Very, very nice. Round of applause for Lexi for passing that. I know those shits are not easy at all. And a lot of people want to do it, but a lot of people don't follow through with it.
Right.
So congratulations. Congratulations for real, for real.
Thank
What
you.
number is this for
Number five.
certification? Number five.
Number five.
Five certs.
Mhm.
Y'all niggas behind, man. People, y'all behind five of them things.
Yeah.
But still, congratulations on that.
Thank
And
you.
yeah, congrats. I know that's not easy at all. So
No.
yeah. Um for me, nothing nothing really new. Um just working and just really working. Uh, you know, thinking
You're not gonna tell us about cat sitting.
no. Um Cats are cool. If you got it, look, if you have a cat, congrats. They're okay. They are self-sufficient to a certain extent. But one cat is cool. Two cats is crazy. When you have two cats and they basically two cats just shit all the time. They just shit all the time. Cat boxes. Look, man, it's not for the faint of heart. I'd rather have a dog. They do their business outside, and all I gotta do is just, get a dog, get a poop bag, and just use the poop bag, pick it up, and just throw it away. Litter box, with a litter box, you really have to go through steps. I know a lot of people might say, "Well, it's easy," but I'm just like, I don't know about that. You got the cat hair. After I was done, I was vacuuming everything. I was washing stuff just to get rid of this cat hair. Um, like I said, if you have cats, more power to you. I know you probably love that cat, and that cat is self-sufficient as hell. You don't have they really probably don't give two shits about you, but you feed them and they come up to you when they're hungry. So yeah, congrats for that. But nah, that's not as as what people say. That's not my ministry. So I have a dog and she's enough. So she costs enough at that also. So yeah, cat sitting was cool, but you know, it's not for the faint of heart. So if somebody's like, "Hey, I want you to watch my cat," you know, uh make sure it's a loved one. If it ain't a loved one, don't be watching somebody else's cat. Nah, don't do it. Don't do it. They're gonna be scratching up shit. They're gonna be rubbing against shit, like, and just leaving cat hair everywhere. And cat litter after they use the bathroom just ends up on the floor, and not worth it. Don't even do it. So, one cat. So I was watching my sister's cats. One is named Baloo, and the other one is named Keanu. Keanu wasn't hiding the whole time, but came out to use the bathroom and eat. Baloo was the one who was jumping on beds, jumping on the windows, sitting in the window sills, like some real like anime cat shit. It's like sunny outside, the windows up. Cat has one paw like hanging and the other one's on the window, like real shit like that. You know what I mean? It was actually really cool. All it needed was like some lo-fi beats behind that shit, and it would have been like an amazing visual. Like I said, I live out in the country, so like all you hear is like bugs and shit in the background,
Country
and
is an
it's a cat,
understatement.
like just chilling in the windowsill. Dope as fuck. Like I said, lo-fi like a motherfucker. If you instead of that raccoon, I love that raccoon. I got a raccoon right here. But if they were to change that, make that motherfucker a cat just sitting in the windowsill, that'd be great. But yeah, they were cool. They were cool, very friendly, not like standoffish or anything. But like I said, it's not for the faint of heart at all. So be prepared to deal with that shit. If you're thinking about getting a cat or a kitten, really think about that shit. You know what? We're just gonna take this part of the episode to I'm just gonna break this shit down for y'all. If you have a pet, if you're thinking about getting a pet, get pet insurance. I don't have that shit. Because you
You
never
should
know what
get
could happen.
it.
Yeah, you should definitely get it. No, I still didn't get it.
Why?
Because um actually I need to see if my job does it. Um, but get pet insurance. You should already have money saved if you can, because if you have a pet, you never know what could happen. You can go to the vet, and a vet bill, they could tell you a vet bill is like 200. Like the first initial shit, they hand you the piece of paper. Oh yeah, it's like $200 regular checkup, all that shit, everything. And then it's like, oh man, we checked what we needed to check, and we saw something. That bitch turned to $600 because you didn't go into that motherfucker expecting that at all. So yeah, just have that money set. Medicine costs, all that shit costs. Um, food, pet food is crazy. If you can make it yourself, make it yourself. If you can't, then you can't. But you're gonna have to take your. I know people who living out here. Some people don't take their dogs to the vets and stuff until actually something happens. That's not the right way to do that. It's not, because if you, as a human being, you shouldn't go to the doctors when it's like, oh, it's something. This you should go to the doctors, but also you should go, just for your checkups and shit because it's necessary. Same thing for an animal. So if you want to get an animal, think about it. Think about the type of person you are. Think about the type of energy you have, and think about how active you are, and just think about your personality before you just go out and get any type of dog. If you know you're a real chill motherfucker, the last thing you need is a very energetic dog. Unless you want that energetic dog to get you out and about, then go for it. But you can't tame an energetic dog, or a dog that's energetic, and you can't tame that, because that energy is always going to be there. Some breeds just have that spunky energy to them. So just be prepared. Take your time and think about it. Think about those vet bills. Just think about the vet bills. That's all I got to say. You think about those, that should make you change your mind. Big time. Big time. But anywho, um, so in this episode, as Lexi said, she received another certification. And I've gotten this question a lot working in tech. people that want to get into it because what they're doing right now isn't what they really want to do, or it's not enjoyable, or they're not getting the compensation that they want, and they are living some check type shit.
Yeah.
So, in this episode, we are actually going to be kind of doing like a mini interview with uh, Lexi to kind of just understand what made her go in this route of going for the certifications, which certifications, what made her choose the certification that she wanted to go for, and also kind of just going in, just seeing how her roots or her root of getting those, how does she learn, what does she do to learn, and if there were other things that she could do, if she could go back and do it over again, would there be things that she would have done different to save time or also money, if it ever came to that? So, um,
Hold on. Let me
yeah,
like preference this by the way. So like I get that question a lot too, especially when like I post up a new cert. Um, I'm gonna preference this. I know everyone sees on TikTok, hey, breaking a tag, it's so easy, yada yada yada.
that
But
shit's fucking
and this
corny as fuck. Sorry, go
it
ahead.
is. And this episode, I'm definitely gonna break that down because it's definitely not like that. Like, you're not gonna get this certification and then wham bam, thank you, ma'am, make six figures. It's not gonna happen. Like, if it does, you probably know somebody that knows somebody that got you this job because it's not typical.
Mm,
So we're gonna break that all down because I'm tired of people asking me how to get in the tech and they have these high expectations because they saw this TikTok. They want to be like, "Oh yeah, breaking the tech is so easy. Y'all don't do anything. Y'all made six figures." Da 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 da. No, no. I know somebody now that's going from being a cop to trying to break into tech, and I am like trying to break this to him. I'm like, it's easier to be in a cop, but like you need to have these expectations when you're trying to break in.
yep. It like I said, this is gonna be asking questions to Lexi, but like I'm in tech also. Like I have a BA degree in CIS, and just starting out the gate, like I was in a basically a call center taking phone calls literally every day for at least 3 years
Mhm.
until I got tired of it. And that shit is not for the faint of heart.
Fuck
I
no.
came in, I remember coming into that first corporate job. I came in with 5 people,
Yep.
like the group that I came in with.
Yep.
By the end, I say of
You're like one or two.
nah, I was the only one. I was
See,
the
there
only
you go.
person left of
Like
that shit.
yeah, so, like, that's my similar going into as well. So, like, for me, I worked at Verizon for, like, almost 8 years, like, I left at, like, a month shy of my 8th year,
Hmm.
and I came in with, like, at least 20 something people. I think when I left, there was probably, like, 3 or 4 of us left. So, like, that shit is not for the faint of heart. I don't even know how I did it that long. Um,
I've seen
but yeah.
niggas cry. I've
Oh,
seen
no, no, no,
I've
no.
seen motherfuckers
Yeah,
cry.
I've seen people cry. I used to see the paramedics at least once or twice a week. You have people, like, passing out, like, all kinds of stuff. It's like yeah, we're gonna break that down because, like yes, so if you're going in to tech and you have no experience, no knowledge of the industry, then you're more likely gonna be starting out at the help desk. Which means that you're probably gonna be on the phone talking to somebody. So, that is not for the faint of heart at all. Uh, it is very stressful because 'cause you're dealing with so many things. You gotta deal with customers and coworkers and your supervisor. It's just a lot. So,
Mhm.
yeah.
Was your first joint was actually in the office, right?
Yes, I
No.
worked at Verizon, yeah, worked at the corporate office down here. Um, in office.
Yep. I worked for Charles Schwab at the time, and I was working with like they had an application called Portfolio Center at the time, and it was basically just a reconciling application.
Mhm.
I dealt with the people who were on these phone calls were people who were basically handling multi-million dollar accounts for like they were advisors and they needed to get their data, all that data reconciled into reports. Sometimes it would be in a certain time frame. Some people needed to get custodian data into the application. Some people just needed help with just installing on a hosting environment, not even installing, but getting into our hosting environment, or also just installing on a fucking server like a 2012 R2. You know what I mean? If you don't know what the fuck I'm talking about, be prepared. But a 2012 R2 Windows server, you know what I mean? Like it's just you never know what was behind that phone call. Somebody could be at their most worst point in that day, pissed the fuck off. And the funny thing is, they can hear if you're green, they can hear that shit right the fucking
Whew.
way. And they'll
Yes.
fucking
Well, you
eat
gotta
you.
fake it to make it, okay? Fake it to fucking make it, and make sure you sound confident as hell. You may not know anything that they saying, but sound confident, because the
Yep.
second you don't sound confident, oh, they're gonna try to break you down.
Eat you the fucking live. It was to the
Yeah,
point where I worked that we so, so we would get the way we used the phone program called Siebel, old as fuck. And Siebel, it'll tell you the name of the client and it'll tell you the number. Everybody, like, it would rotate. So it didn't go like, oh, this person got this call, so this person's gonna get this call. You can get right off of a call and get another
bam,
one
get
right
another
after.
one right
Right.
after.
So based on some numbers, we knew people that have been there for a certain amount of time, you knew numbers right away because you knew the people who were behind that shit
Exactly.
automatically. And the people that you work with that have been there for a certain amount of time, they could tell you, they'd be like, oh, is that Steve? Yeah. He usually knows what he wants to do. If you don't know what he wants to do, he's gonna chew you the fuck out. Sometimes it'll just be like, just transfer him to me and I'll handle it. Yeah, just bring him over to me. I'll handle it. And then sometimes you might just get the mom and pop, like
Yeah,
advisors, and they're the nicest people, and all you got to do is just be kind of nice, and you get the review. The review comes in good. Manager finds that out, and
you
you
good
get
to
the
go.
bonus and shit. But when you get into this shit, you're gonna start there. Like I know we're not saying this because I know a lot of people know this already, but you just don't, you don't come in at one and just go straight to fucking nine.
Right. You have to start from you have to start from the bottom,
Yeah.
and like
And fuck your experience that you have already. If you
I
don't
don't
have
I
experience,
wouldn't say that. Depending on what your experience is, it can tie in. Like, if you have, like, customer service or retail experience, you know how to handle that because you already deal with those kind of customers. You just gotta translate it into tech language. But either way, you're starting at the bottom. The only way you're starting at anywhere at the middle is, like, if you have already completed, like, a bunch of certs. And I mean, like, you got your networking, your security, all that kind of stuff, then you might start in the middle.
yeah.
Maybe. Or you have this, super advanced degree, or you have this super advanced knowledge of this system that's
Mhm.
like really archaic or old and not a lot of people know. Then you might, start up a little bit higher up the chain. But for most people that are coming in, you're going to be starting at like that entry level role, that help desk, service desk, tech support type of role, which is there's
Yep.
nothing wrong with that because those roles starting out do make more than a lot of different roles that
Mhm.
where you start out in different fields. Like I think when I started at Verizon, this was like 2011. I started out right after college. I was working at Walmart and I was making like $9. No, it was like, yeah, it was $9 there. And
Mm.
then I got to Verizon and I'm making $13 an hour. But this is back in like 2011. So,
Things were good. Things were totally good.
right, right. And then like, well, when I left, I was making like over 22, and this was back in like 2019. So like I think I looked at my pay stub, like no, my tax form for that year, and I made like quite a bit. And I was like, you never realize it until you go back and look. But like, yeah, so it is lucrative to be here, but you gotta realize like you gotta start from the bottom.
Right. I and when I say start from the bottom, I mean really start from that fucking bottom. Like cubicle type shit,
Yeah.
motherfuckers being dirty as fuck. I
Well, look,
like
like, okay, not anymore because now a lot of those positions have moved like work from
I
home,
mean,
but you still got to deal with like coworkers, attitudes, and like company policy and all that kind of stuff. So it's still bad, but like you ain't got to deal with like Steve over here that never had, knows how to take a shower, or this coworker that just like all up in your grill, or somebody stealing your Funko Pops or your fucking desk. Like, don't do
I
that.
I knew motherfuckers that would literally just fart. Like nigga,
God.
nigga, I knew motherfuckers that we were in cubicles and they would just like fart and then have the audacity to just look up.
It look and see who smelled it,
Yeah,
like,
like
yeah, like, come
it's
on
like
now.
I hear you. You what? No, I can hear you. Or having to deal with the person who is really loud on the phone. The person who
Oh my
walks
god.
around when they're talking on the phone.
I remember one coworker, he was a like a drama major just coming there. I don't know why they hired him, but he was so loud. Like you can
Mhm.
hear him from like across the hallway. Like he was that loud.
Yeah.
And customer would be like, "Is that another co?" Yes, yes,
Yeah.
that is my coworker.
Loud as fuck. Loud as fuck. Loud as hell for no reason. Like the person you got a mic literally right next to your mouth. Why are you so loud? So it it's different now, yes. But
Yes.
my thing is I didn't get my first remote job until 2018. I was working at Charles Schwab. I started that in what 2015.
Yeah.
So and then I was yeah. Then I went into cybersecurity at CrowdStrike,
Yeah.
and that was my first remote gig. That's what I wanted. I didn't want to work in a cubicle anymore or any of that shit. Um, but with this, you start from that bottom and stuff like that, but then you also start to learn what you like and what you enjoy about it, and
Mhm.
then from that you can kind of dictate
Where
where
your career is
you
gonna go.
yeah, where you want to go if you want to get a certain cert or something like that. So I will ask you this, Lexi, what was the first cert that you received, and I guess what was the motivation behind it?
Oh, well, all my certs have been within the last year. Yeah, I've gotten 5 certs within the last year. So, um,
Hot shit, everybody. Hot shit.
yeah, and I'm working on my 6.
See,
But see, um,
glowing ass motherfucker.
shut up.
Glowing ass
But for
motherfucker.
me, let's roll that back. Let me kinda give you guys my career progression. So, I didn't really like, I've been in tech for, like, ever, but I knew I did not wanna be, like, on the phones forever. So
Mm,
I realized that, and I didn't know exactly where I wanted to go with that. So one thing I do recommend as a newcomer, please, please, for the love of God, do not stay at that helpless, serviceless, like job more than a year or two. While you are there, please, like what he said, figure out what you want to do and make that career path, like figure
Mm,
out what search you want. That would be one thing I would go back and redo is figure out what I want to do and get the fuck out.
mm,
Because and I I experience it, I still experience it, but like you get in that mindset and you're like, oh, this is just it. This
yep,
is I can't do anything better than this. Um Especially where I worked, they would
right,
be like drill it in your head, like we give you these benefits, we pay you this much. Where are you gonna find that else?
right.
Whatever. So that's one thing I would do. But from there, from Verizon, I went to a company called QS1. They're a mom and pop software company for retail pharmacies. Uh, so there was kind of where I got my experience of doing something different than working on just cell phones. So for there, I was working on like networking, printers, software issue. The software was janky as fuck. I didn't like it. Um, but you kind of get to see all sides of that business too. You're working with like nurses, or pharmacists, insurance companies, whole 9 yards.
Right.
So that's kind of where I got my healthcare exposure, and I'm like, okay, I like healthcare. So healthcare tech, because technically in high school I was in biomed classes and kind of wanted to be an anesthesiologist. So, it ties in. Um, and so there's where I like, okay, I like tech. I want to stay in tech, but I don't know exactly where. So from there, I went to a company called Omnicell, um, which is another med tech company. And I think the moment was for me is when we had our big ransomware attack. Um, and I just decided that I wanted to do cybersecurity. So
Mm,
from there, I did a boot camp, which was full time. So I would literally get up at like 8 o'clock in the morning, be in class from 9 to 4:30, and then clock in at work from 4:30 to 12:30, and then go to sleep and do the shit all over again
mm,
for almost 4 months. So yeah, I was dead tired. Nobody really heard from me, and this is why I stopped streaming. So with that, the reason I took it though is because they were at the end of the course. They would give you the opportunity to take your CISA, which is your uh, this is a CompTIA certification for cybersecurity, which is a step above Security Plus. And I felt for me, like multiple times in the past, I had tried to get like my A plus by myself, like self study, couldn't do it. Like I said, I would do it, not go back and do it, or I would fail and just give up. It was just like, okay, I need some kind of guidance to make sure I get this. So one thing I will say though, I hear a lot is how you break into cybersecurity.
mm,
It's not a beginner field. It's really not. You really do have to start from the bottom. So you would need to start with your like, especially if you have no experience, no knowledge, no nothing. You really need
right.
to study for your CompTIA A plus certification first, because cybersecurity is one of those fields that build upon everything else. You're dealing with, networking. You're dealing with like system admin stuff. Sometimes you're looking at log files, things of that kind of nature, and
Mm,
everything of that sort. So it's something that you're taking your knowledge and building upon. So don't think you're just going to be able to be like, I want to work in cybersecurity and not know anything. Uh, so yeah, that's kind of how that path went. So from there, I did the boot camp. Surprised I passed my CISA. Like my heart was literally beating when I saw that pass on my screen, because I literally was like, I'm gonna fail this. I'm gonna fail this. I'm gonna to fucking fail this.
what
But I
was
passed
the
it.
what was the when it came to the boot camp, what was the hardest shit to do? You know what I mean? What was it? What was the hardest thing? And was there? What did you have any thoughts of? Did you have any thoughts of kind of like turning away from it?
So I think the hardest thing for me is like is for me the hardest thing was dealing with everybody else in the class.
Right.
So everybody came. I think a lot of people came into this thinking that it was just gonna be easy. We're gonna just learn just about cybersecurity, and not realizing that that's something that you build upon. So like
Mm,
literally when we started, we were learning about Linux. People like, why are we learning about Linux? You got people in there that
foundation.
don't even know how to do the basics. Like
Yeah.
build a VM, like
Hmm.
using VMs. Like, so, we had to go back and do that. And so we're learning Linux. We're learning networking. People were like, why are we learning networking? This has nothing to do with cybersecurity. Yes, it does. A
People
lot.
actually said that shit.
Yes. I'm
People
like,
said that shit.
yes.
Niggas
And
ain't
I'm like,
motherfuckers ain't had no experience in nothing coming to a classroom and be so teacher. Sorry, so a teacher comes in and it's like, all right, we're gonna build a virtual machine. We're gonna build a virtual machine today, and there we go. Uh, how we do that shit? Like how you
yes.
build? Yeah, that's
Yes,
crazy.
that's what it was. So I'm like, so that was one thing for me. I'm like, okay. And so it was just dealing with that was a lot. And so I
Hmm.
did a lot of like helping my classmates with like different stuff. Like
Hmm.
there was this one girl, bless her heart, she knew very little about computers, but she made it. She made it all the way through. I am so proud of her. But yeah, it was a struggle. So I think that was like a big thing for me was like dealing with all that. But
Right.
as far as like concept wise, I think the thing that I hated a lot was like networking and like we're talking about like subnets and like ugh, it was just a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, network plus gonna be like really hard for me. But yeah, that was my biggest trouble during my boot camp.
Gotcha. I I will say, Lexi and I was um texting each other earlier today, and kind of just on this topic. And one thing that she asked me was, why don't I have any certifications? Um, what the hell was that? What the hell was that? So if you, if sorry about that. Um, we're recording, and we have video of the recording and stuff like that, and heard a noise in the background of Lexi's Lexi's recording, and I was like, what is that? What the hell? What is that?
We're good now. Thank you. You can continue.
What was that?
I'll tell you later. But continue.
So uh she asked me, uh, why why don't I have any certifications? Um I I thought about it. I found like YouTube videos, like a whole like literally like a whole class of it. And even when I was out of college, I was thinking about it. I wrote it down. I have like books and stuff of me writing down a plan and stuff like that. But for me, it's just I don't know. It just wasn't. Once I was done with school, I'm done. Let me tell you something. I wasn't the greatest at school. I'm not the smartest motherfucker. I'm not even gonna hold it. I know how to take something, and I know how to apply it. I know how to apply that shit. If I want to learn something for myself, I'm gonna learn that shit because I enjoy learning it. You know what I mean? Yes, me getting a certification could help with you know, salary and compensation and
So you're
all that
already money
stuff.
bags McGee. Let's not even go into that.
Shut the hell up. So don't you put that on me. So no, he needs to know. He needs to hear this. Um, but it just wasn't it just wasn't something that I wanted to do. The funny thing is, I was looking into getting a. This has nothing to do with tech, but I was actually looking into getting a certification in horticulture.
Go on.
Like for real. Like
But why?
um because I enjoy it. I like
Hmm.
it. Um I I was doing I was going to like a lot of so in every depending on where in the state that I live in, the college, the one of the big colleges has like workshops and stuff for like if you wanted to grow stuff, you wanted to get into like small farming or urban farming and stuff like that. And I was going to like these things about soil, learning how the different soils within the state works and what you can do with it, what you can grow in it. Like I enjoy like going and doing research on the stuff that can grow within the zone that I live in. If you don't know what I'm talking about, there are different zones depending on where you live, and each depending on the east, the west, and Midwest and all that stuff. Like certain zones, you can only grow certain foods in, certain fruits, certain vegetables, and certain trees can only grow within that zone. Where in the Carolinas, you don't see a lot of citrus because, well, we don't have the weather for that and we get snow. So citrus really isn't that great. I've seen people with lemon trees, but just as a whole, not the best thing to have. But anyway, um, yeah, I was looking into getting a certification in horticulture. Um, don't know what I would do with it.
By the way, he grows mushrooms, guys. That's why I made him bring this up.
Gourmet mushrooms. Let's get that shit straight.
Ooh, okay. Gourmet
You have to
mushrooms.
say that. You can't be out here just saying, "Oh yeah, that nigga grow mushrooms." Hell no.
Okay, I'm pretty sure our audience is sophisticated enough to know that I'm not talking about the psychedelic kind, okay?
Here's my thing. Nothing against the audience, but hell no. Nah. Some motherfucker could be like, "Oh, for real? For real? You sell you grow them shits? You dry them shits too?" No, no. I oyster mushrooms, shiitake, maitake. I grow on straw or in logs. That's it. Putting that out there, cool. It's called mycology, the study of
Oh my
mushrooms.
god.
So, um, but just certifications really wasn't for me, and I don't know. You never know what could happen, but for right now, no. Once I was done with school, I was done with school. I didn't want to get the whole master's
I mean,
or another cert.
you have your bachelor's degree. I think you're in a good spot. And with
Yeah, but
your like experience, you're in a good spot.
yeah, but you can never stop learning. Education is always education, and it's
That's
always something
very
to add
true.
to your
Like
repertoire.
there's another thing people forget about cyber, like not cyber, but tech in general. You're always upscaling. Like you're
Yeah.
always learning. And if you're not, then like you're gonna fall behind in the trend.
What
So
what I would recommend to people, you don't have to listen to us. We don't we just a black man and a black woman just talking to y'all. But you don't have to listen to me. But I'm telling you this, the thing to get into, we're seeing it more and more in apps and shit. Learn how this AI shit works.
yeah,
Learn how
AI
to
machine learning.
because
Go ahead and learn it.
the tech support shit, if the AI gets better with the way that you ask it questions. If you ask it the right question, it learns from it and it does it better the next time. That's how it learns. So if somebody can call, some people don't want to talk to an AI, but for companies as a whole, companies only care about companies. There is no family shit. It's really not. It's really about you doing what you need to do, you get your money, and you're good to go. In this day and age, if 401ks aren't really like the most secure shit, if you got one, you got one. If you don't, go get one, I guess. But and pensions aren't a thing anymore. That's like my mother and father.
Uh.
What?
I have a pension.
You have a pension?
Mhm.
I ain't got one of them shits. But get into that AI shit for sure because that shit ain't going nowhere and it's moving very
Rapidly.
fucking fast,
Yeah.
extremely fast, stupid fast. Like,
Yeah. That's
holy
like what I
shit,
want to learn
why is this so
next.
fast?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It definitely would be AI.
Oh
So
yeah. Very, very fucking
So if
fast.
you're out there and you're listening, remember, you gotta start from the bottom. So even if you want to learn AI, you still need to know those basics.
Yep. Yep. It's not like I said, definitely not for the faint of heart at all. I think so like I said, I don't have any certs or anything. But what was your you took a class. Yes. But with training material, what were you guys using in that class? Was it something that was just specified or specific to that class, or were you getting textbooks and stuff like that?
So for the boot camp that I was in, we had like different materials. So
Mm,
for we were learning like Linux and stuff. We were using I think we were using Cisco has like a Linux essential class, a network essential class, and like a cybersecurity basic class. So we were using that to learn like the basics.
right.
And then when it came to learning about size, they would use Cert Master, but we really wasn't using that. Mainly what we were doing is taking like exam questions, like practice tests,
Mm,
and like going over those and going over the reason behind certain answers just to kind of get that background knowledge. Along with we were doing like VMs of like different Linux distributions like Ubuntu and Kali, and we were setting up like OpenSense, which is a firewall which you can use for like an IDS firewall or IPS firewall, and
right.
going through and setting that up and using like packet trace and all that kind of stuff. So there's a lot for that, but like for all the other certifications that I've gotten those like self-study, and most of it, I would use, like I always recommend if you're gonna do self-study, like, Jason Dion on Udemy is probably the go-to because he does break all that stuff down there, and he does have those practice questions, and usually if you can pass those practice questions, you can pass whatever certification you're going for.
Mm,
Um, and then textbook-wise, there's a lot of different textbooks, but for size, I think we just use, like, the regular size of study guide. If I wasn't packed up right now, I would have a copy of it, but all my books are, like, packed up.
yeah.
And then, for A plus, I really didn't use too much, like, book material because, like I said, I've been in the field for so long, so you it's kinda more of, like, a refresher and seeing what they're looking for type deal, but there is a lot of A plus certification books out there that you can use, as well. And then I think another thing I definitely used and helped me pass was YouTube. YouTube is a plethora of good information. Like, for the simulation questions, there's videos out there that will go through the simulations and break it down for you so you get a better understanding.
Mm,
Professor Messer is another great person that breaks everything down. If you don't wanna pay for the Udemy class, you can watch him on YouTube. Um, and then, like, on YouTube, there's, like, practice exam questions, so I was watching that, like, probably, like, 2, 3 hours beforehand, just, like, making sure I have, like, a grasp on it, but,
mm,
um, for A plus, I would definitely recommend knowing your RAIDs, your printers. Even though we really don't use printers like that in support, you will be asked a ton, I mean, a fucking ton of printer questions, and then some cloud computing concepts, you wanna know those too.
gotcha. 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 Okay. If let's say, because I do think this is also a thing, but you can tell me if I'm wrong. But when it comes to certifications within this tech world, if you prefer to use a certain if you prefer to use like a PC or a Mac, um if I'm not mistaken, I think you can get certified with like Mac too.
I think, but it's not something that I looked
Yeah.
into, but I think you definitely can.
Yeah.
Uh,
I think yeah.
One thing I will mention about that because you brought it up and it reminds me. So
Mm,
the first time I tried to take my A plus certification back in June,
mm,
I have a MacBook that I typically use, not anymore since I got a gaming laptop, but I have a Mac that I used to use like daily, and I had updated it new
Mhm.
operating system out in beta. Be careful doing that because I could not take my tests because the software that they use was not supported, and so like they could not see me, they could not hear me, and so I just could not take my exam at all.
Was it not supported because of the M1? Wait,
I
how?
don't have an M1, I have an Intel based one.
Oh, you have Intel base, and it wasn't supported. Wow.
So if you do, don't use the beta software. Just make sure you just stick with the original. If you're going to take your certification exam at home, a lot of people hate taking it at home. I do too. It's just because like there are so many issues with the proctors that they have. They're all foreign and sometimes it's hard to understand them. Sometimes you get that real chill, laid back one that will not care about really what's on your desk. And then you'll get some of the ones that be so nitpicky.
Very anal. Yeah.
Oh, but yeah.
Yeah.
And you cannot talk during your test, can't read the questions out loud. Some you don't have breaks, so you cannot move away. You have to stay in the camera's face. They have to see you. Like it's like nobody can be behind you. You have to be in a closed room. You got to take pictures of your front of the desk, behind the desk, the left, the right. It's just a lot. Sometimes I would rather go in and just take the damn test and be like, here.
Right.
But where I am, there's not a proctor site. Like whatever, it's fine. I just do it at home. But yeah, just be cognizant of that.
Do you happen to remember if you could just the estimate of was there like a total cost for you to do everything? I mean, yes, the YouTube is free and all that stuff, but with the Udemy and just the cost of the test, just an estimate, how much do you think, like, if you wanted to do, like, you're at 5, right? Let's
Yeah.
say if you wanted to do 5 certs and you wanted to plan that out, like, what would somebody have to have, I guess, set or saved in order to go on this venture of certs?
So I've been extremely, extremely lucky with my certs. I haven't paid anything for any of my certs. Uh,
You're a
yeah,
great big phony. Go ahead. Go ahead. Sorry.
yeah, no, it's gonna come. But no, like so the boot camp paid for my first cert. Um, well, technically, actually, that was not my first. So let me back up. So while we were in the class, I see Square like they had a big push for their new like certified in cybersecurity cert. So that was free. And so a lot of us just took it just to kind of get our knowledge. So I passed that one. That one was free. I think it's still going on. So guys, if you want to look into that, definitely Google. Um, there is like a self kind of learn course that they offer, but on
What was
LinkedIn Learning,
what was the name
there's
of
a
that? What was the name of the boot camp?
Minds
Yeah,
per scholars. It's free.
Perscalis.
Yeah, it's free
Okay,
too.
gotcha.
Um, yeah, I'm all about the free and the low. So, um, but yeah, so anyways, that one was free. But what I was saying is on LinkedIn Learning, there's a good like course that'll walk you through all those concepts, give you a lot more details that are needed, but it'll help you with the test. So
Mm.
definitely watch that. Second cert was my CISA. CISA, like I said, that was covered, but book and material wise, I think the exam itself is like 300 something dollars, and like all the books and stuff that we had, I probably would say like another 50. So you're probably looking at $500 for that one if you're paying out of pocket.
Mm.
Third cert I have is my Azure Fundamentals. That's just a Microsoft certification, like a beginner cloud-based one. They used to do learning days where like if you go attend one of their like lectures about it, they'll give you a voucher and you can take the test for free.
Mm.
They don't do that anymore, but cost of that's like $99. Third certification I have is my ITLV4 Foundations. That's mainly used for like IT management, that kind of thing.
Mm.
Um, maybe I don't know, but
No, just
anyways,
I had to
my
take one.
school, yeah. My
Yeah.
school made me take it. So they covered all those courses. Well, they covered all that. And I think for that course, it's like another maybe 300, 350, like 350 for that. And then the
Mhm.
materials probably like another 150. But with that, you have to, I found that you actually do have to take that course or a course that they offer before you can even take
Mhm.
the exam. So
Right.
I got lucky. So there you go with that. And then my CompTIA, as you know, with that, that's two parts. And I think they're 249 each. So that's like $500 there.
Mhm.
And then book wise and material wise, you're probably looking at Jason Dion courses are not that expensive, like $20 each. But like for the books and if you use like Cert Master and all that kind of stuff, you're probably looking at like another $200. So there's the cost of that. So probably at go ahead.
How long do your certs last?
Uh, all of them are 3 years.
3 years. Okay.
So yeah, either you can retake it in 3 years to get certified, or you can do continual educational credits and apply it towards your renewal of um, your certification.
Gotcha. Gotcha. Okay. Okay. Mm-hmm. Okay. So I will say, I think a lot of people, when people, I'll say this: if you're doing something like, it doesn't have to be in tech. There's usually a certification for everything. Just to let y'all know, there's
Yeah,
a certification for growing mushrooms. There is. So there's a cert for everything. Everything always looks good on paper. That's just the way shit is. Shit looks good on paper. It really fucking does. And then also, if you want to go this route, make sure that you have the finances to do it, or find options to help you with that finance.
yeah.
You know,
So you could, yeah. There's different ways to help out. Like if you have a edu email, CompTIA does have like a student store, so they can give you discount vouchers cheaper there. Jason Dion, if you take his courses, there's like a 10% off voucher. Um, if you're in school like WGU, which is where I am now, they will pay for all your certs. And usually it's self-pay. So like your class is you going to take the cert and passing it um, for a lot of courses. So that's another way you can do it. It is not expensive at all. It's like I think it's like 3,000 like some odd dollars like each semester, which is like 6 months.
that's not bad.
And then like you don't have a certain number of classes, like you can go as your own pace. So there's some people that will finish it in like one semester and end up with like a whole bunch of certs that they didn't have to pay for.
Right.
For me, I am not that person. I am self-paced and I like having I work a lot. And so like I don't have time to like sit there and like deal with that. So I'm more self-paced and I just kind of go with the flow. So like I have 9 weeks that I have to pass my network plus by, but I'm gonna try to pass it within like the next six. So um but yeah.
I maybe like a couple of years ago, I had a friend of mine. They got their degree in veterinary medicine, and they really weren't digging working at like vet hospitals and stuff like that. And they asked me, how can I get into, this tech shit? And I told them, I was like, you should, a lot of the colleges, like if you, whatever state you're in, a lot of the schools, like the big colleges, usually have boot camps. They
Mhm.
usually do. So I told her, I was like, you should look into a coding boot camp at one of the big schools, because you can do web development, you can do all that shit. They have different things. Shouldn't be too much, but I was just like, look into that. And they actually went through it, and they ended up getting a tech job, remote, all that shit. It took some
Mhm.
time for them to get it, but they did get it. And I guess
Yes.
that's the big thing. They got it. It's gonna take time.
You have to stay with it. It takes time. So
Yeah.
And same thing, like, I know a lot of people ask me all the time, like, "How do you break in the tech?"
Mm-hmm.
Things of that nature. You have to stay with it. So, like I said earlier, like, TikTok puts in your mind that you're gonna get this certification and you're just gonna be able to get a job like that. Right now, that's not happening.
Nope.
Even before, like, the big tech layoffs, it wasn't really happening like that.
We we
It's
we kind of still in that shit, to be honest with you.
we
But
right, everybody's saying it's over, but it's, okay,
we still
whatever.
in that shit for real,
We're
for
still
real.
in it, right?
Yeah.
And so, um, like, I know people that were in my boot camp that are looking for, like, jobs,
Mm-hmm.
and things of that nature. So, you have to stay with it. I know I hate job hunting. It is discouraging, um, but you just gotta keep going at it and going at it. And one thing I would recommend, like, is when you are trying to transition from one field to another,
Right.
tailor your experiences to, like, that new role that you're wanting.
Mm-hmm.
So, you have experience doing XYZ, doing customer service, so you can tailor that to, like, tech support. Like, hey, I know how to, handle difficult customers because I worked in customer service, or yada yada yada. And then I know I hate networking, but it is very
Yeah.
necessary, because that's how I found a lot of, like, the opportunities that I have with, like, the boot camps and things of that nature is just by being, like, on LinkedIn, or I guess X now, since it's not called Twitter. But there's people there that, like, post, "Hey, I have this boot camp," or "I know this boot camp that's free." There's one girl
Mm-hmm.
on there, she does that all the time, but you gotta be thirsty for it. That's basically the best way to be. You gotta be thirsty. You gotta be
Got to be
looking for
simping
everything.
for it. Yep.
Yep, best way to be.
I will say, when you get into this field, have a LinkedIn profile. It helps because I get people contacting me through LinkedIn on job opportunities all the fucking time. It
Mhm.
it does happen.
Yes.
I found actually two of the job I have now and the job before, I found those both of those through LinkedIn jobs.
Mhm.
Um, Everything that uses a application needs support. Let me say that shit for the motherfuckers in the back. Everything that has a application needs support.
Support.
So, what I'm saying is, there are tons of industries. If you want to go into a certain industry, do it. Write that shit down. Apply to 10 jobs a day. It is so easy to apply to jobs. All you need is a
Easy
resume.
apply.
Half of the shit is already filled the fuck out for you. All you got to do is just press enter.
Yeah.
10 jobs a day, every day, Monday through Sunday. That's 70 jobs a week. You're going to
Mhm.
look, but you might not get a lot, but you might get one or
Right.
two. And that's better than fucking nothing. 70, when I left my job last year in March because I just wasn't feeling it. And I was living off my savings, and I was applying to, like, I was applying, and this was like still kind of COVID-ish, but not really. So they were looking for people. I would
Mhm.
I would I was having interviews every fucking day like it was a job.
Yep.
I was scheduling interviews in the morning, in the fucking afternoon. I call my mom's every day to check up on it. My mom be like, "You got an interview today?" I was like, "Yeah, I got like I had one at 10, I got one at 1, and I got one at 3."
Yep. That's how it was for me too. So, like, when I was going through my boot camp,
Mm-hmm.
like, I decided I didn't wanna stay with my company that I was at during the time anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And so I would literally be in the boot camp, and I'd be like, I'll be right back. I got an interview with this company." Come back after a couple hours. "All right, I gotta go.
Yeah.
I got another interview." And, like, some of these companies, you have panel interviews, so, like, or you have multiple interviews. I
Mm-hmm.
remember for one of the jobs I work with, I had a panel interview, and it was fucking 5 fucking interviews back to back to back to back to
Yep.
back. Oh, yeah.
It you I was saying this a lot, but during COVID was horrible, but it was also like an opportunity for a lot of
There's
people.
a lot of
And if you
people.
didn't take advantage of that fucking opportunity, then you were fucking lost. You fucking lost. If you didn't take advantage, it was so much education out there for free.
Mhm.
Motherfuckers were just giving shit away, just
Way.
knowledge.
Yeah.
And if
And
you didn't,
so
go I'm sorry.
no, I was gonna say definitely if you were not taking advantage of that, like now you kinda
Tough break.
tough break. You gotta play catch up now. Cause like I had this conversation with somebody I know that lives in this area. I was
Mm,
like, if it wasn't for COVID, I don't think I would have the opportunity to work where I work now
mm-hmm.
or make the amount of money that I make now because that shit is not heard of in this area. And then like there are not that many like, cybersecurity based or, med tech
Mm-hmm.
based companies in this area.
Yeah.
So like I know COVID was horrible for everybody and like myself included, but
Yep.
if it had not came around, I don't think I'd be in the position that I am now.
Right.
So I am grateful for that big ass tragedy in like everything that happened. But you got to look at it like it afforded us a lot of opportunities. Now people get to work remote.
Yep.
You know, if you live in a bad area, you're not stuck making that money that's in that particular area. There's a lot of like free like knowledge out there. Like I know in my state they were doing you can go back to school for free for 2
Mm-hmm.
years. Like you go to a technical college for free for 2 years. So there's it just afforded us a lot of opportunities. So
Yep.
I am very grateful for it.
Like I said, I was every fucking Monday through Friday, I had shit lined up. I would apply to shit like in the morning and then get a response in the afternoon from
Like when you're available
motherfuckers.
for
Yep.
for an interview, want to do a screening
Easy.
call? Let me call you real
Quick.
quick.
Motherfuckers were thirsty. Thirsty, nigga. I was feeling good. I was like, shit, I'm happy I left my goddamn job. I was feeling
Have you
good
feeling yourself for a little bit?
because from the experience from the past of getting out of college, you have this stupid fucking piece of paper, a receipt. Let's just call it what the fuck it is, a fucking receipt that you paid a whole bunch of fucking money for, right? That was my dumbass fault. If I can do it all over again, I probably would. I would just go a different route. But going from being out of college, not having any experience, you applying to all these fucking jobs every day. You're living with your parents, and it's just like, oh my god, what the fuck did I just spend 4 years fucking doing?
Yeah.
And then now you got the experience, you got and motherfuckers are like coming to you based off of the shit and the effort that you put the fuck in.
Yeah.
So now it's just like, holy shit, this is great.
But you got to
The,
realize it too. Like, okay, when we were applying for jobs, it's a little different because now we have like the tech layoffs and everybody
yeah.
trying to break in right now. So it's going to be harder to break in.
Yep.
And I hear it all the time. Like, I've been applying. I've been out of work XYZ amount of months. I haven't heard anything back. It's a lot harder now
Yeah.
than it was, like a year and a half ago.
But
So
I also think that people, you go on LinkedIn and there are certain, you type in tech support or shit like that or desktop whatever, and you get a list of shit. I don't think a lot of people are thinking outside the box when it comes to applying the jobs. The one thing that I did when I applied to jobs, I went out and I bought a dry eraser board and I wrote down the industries that I wanted to be in. I wanted to be in drones, gaming, I had crypto, and I had firearms. Literally. And that's the shit that I was looking at every fucking day. Literally every fucking day. Everything that uses the application needs support for it.
support.
So I'm gonna say I said that a third time, but I'm being fucking honest with you. That's what the fuck it is.
Well, and also too, like I think people forget, like, I know you're trying to get out this particular sector or whatever that you're in,
Mm,
but that sector might have a tech part as well.
mm,
So, like, for instance, I work in med tech.
mm,
So there's a lot of like well, not pharmacists, but like pharmacy techs. There's a lot of like nurses. Well, you can easily transition into tech with those roles because they need like pharmacy techs for like support. They might have questions that you guys may know. Same thing with like nursing. Like one of my old jobs, they were always hiring for nurses because they needed them on, for the software or whatever to
right,
ask them questions about different things. So, like, just because you're in that role doesn't mean you can't easily transition and get a tech job in that particular industry.
right.
So that's another thing to keep in mind as well.
Think outside of that fucking box. Like
Bingo.
I had interviews with trucking companies because it was a truck company or a software company that helped truckers not have to use paper and basically do everything through an app. Trucking is that old of a business that everything is still done on paper, and this company had an application that basically helped truckers get paid quicker and not have to go through the bullshit of paperwork and have to wait on papers getting sent and faxed the fuck over. And they needed somebody in customer support to help manage that shit. Thinking outside that box will help you a fucking lot, not just with the regular shit. Like, if there's something, I play trading card games. Go on TCG Player, which is an application, and go to their careers. You'll find tech support jobs. Some of these jobs, let me be clear, some of these jobs might not be remote. Some of these jobs you have to be in that certain area in order to get it because they want you to come in. But if you're in that area, fucking go for it. Shit, they might want you to come in like once or twice a week, but just fucking go for it. You know what I mean? It's difficult, it's time consuming, but once you get your foot in the fucking door, just run with that bitch.
Same thing
Run.
like Twitch. Twitch
Yep.
is always hiring for some kind of support or some kind of tech role. Just
And Discord also. Go ahead.
yeah, in Discord.
Mhm.
And that's kind of how I found some of the jobs that I have is I would go on the website, like, okay, what role do they have that's open? That's
Mhm.
like, okay, I have like a weekend job. So that's how I got the job I have on the weekends. Is like I literally was like, I've never applied here. Let me just see what y'all got. Oh, we got this role. Let me try it. And I didn't hear anything back. And then they hit me up like a month or two later, like, hey, you want to interview for us? I was like,
Yep.
oh, I forgot about that. But yeah, let's do it. And so like I ended up getting the role. But like sometimes you gotta do that. Like, all right, I shop, here. Let me look and see what careers they got. Or hey, I play this game. Let me see what
Yep.
careers they got. Sometimes you just gotta think outside the box and do that.
Everything, nigga, go around your house and just look at the back of shit. And just look at the company that made that shit and then just go find it and see what jobs they have. Like I said, you got to put some fucking work in. Funko, if you live in fucking like, I think they're shit in California or like in Indiana or some shit. I don't fucking know. But you got to think outside that box and really kind of just like, once you get your foot in, you're in there. And I mean, shit, that's it. I we can talk, we can do a whole nother episode. If we get more shit about this or more like people asking questions
Yeah,
about it, we
definitely ask us more questions. Like
yeah.
I was speaking of, I was at MomoCon and my friend, her boyfriend was there, and so he was like, "I listened to the podcast." He was like, and he had these
Oh,
questions
I know you're talking
for
about, yeah.
me.
You told
Yeah,
me that.
he had to, yeah, about like getting in the text. So definitely don't be scared to like ask us questions. We definitely
Yeah.
will answer them, and if we don't know the answer, we'll find it out for you. But
Yeah, for sure. Definitely. Damn, this is actually really good. Yeah. Is there anything else that you wanted to add?
you could do it. just you can do it. Like, s- I know how it feels to be like, can I do this? Like that
Defeated.
self doubt.
Yep.
Don't listen to it. You got this. Like,
You gotta take
that's
that
one thing I
risk.
wish I would take back is not listening to that shit, because like that's what held me back for so long. It's like I never felt like I could do it, or I wouldn't amount to anything. Like, ugh, the imposter syndrome is what we call it, but
Yeah.
it sucks. But you got to overcome it. You just gotta be thirsty. Like if you ain't thirsty for it, then it ain't right for you. So just move it on. But if you're
Yeah.
gonna be, you gotta be thirsty. You gotta be upscaling constantly. Like I said, networking, it's a lot, but it does have its benefits. We're not saying that tech is like this evil place or whatever. It definitely has its benefits and its perks. It takes some work to get in there. And do not believe everything you see on like social media about breaking in and everything. And just because you see it, one person breaking in this way doesn't mean that it's going to work for
Work for
you.
you. Yep.
There's more than one way to skin a cat.
Tell them.
That,
Yeah. Yep. Is there's let's redo that. I don't like the way you,
Look, that's my
there
no,
there are
because that's what I say. Well, there's
there
more than one way to do that.
there
Okay, you guys, I'm sorry. I'm sorry if you got
there are
cats. I don't literally mean skinning your cat. I'm
what
just saying there's more one way to do it. Okay.
what about like there are other ways to like descale a fish?
No, I like what I say. Okay, you can't be making me switch it up now. Like you want authentic Lexi, or you want let me like center myself Lexi? I don't understand which one you
No,
want
don't.
here.
Hey, ooh. All right.
Okay, thank you.
Um, but you guys, thank you for listening to another episode. Greatly appreciate it. And we will see you guys again soon.
Bye, guys.
All right. Bye.